We've been trying to get our motions and our numbers together, and I apologize. Time went by a lot faster than we thought it would. Welcome everybody to committee. Are there any bill introductions this morning? And not seeing any, we'll just move on and we will move to committee recommendations, and we'll start with the Kansas Lottery. Does anyone have something they want to bring up in the Kansas Lottery?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Representative Turk, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you around. Jacob. Pardon me.
Do we have copies of these in the S drive by chance?
I don't know, Kelly, are all these in the S drive, or Jacob? Yes, please. Jacob, please.
Representative Turk, which document are you referring to?
The summary for.
Yes, the budget summaries should be uploaded to the S drive.
Do you want a paper copy, Representative?
I was just trying to navigate through the S drive. Got it.
Okay. They can accommodate you either way, I promise. All right, are there any other changes or recommendations that the committee would like to have? Yes, Representative Melton.
Madam Chair, I just would still like to see the balances moving forward of what all these funds have in them, as well as what Representative Turk asked about the open positions. I just would be curious moving forward.
Okay. Could the KLRD representative on the lottery please join us in committee? Welcome to committee, Molly.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the balance question, I believe analysts within our department are still working on getting those balances together. I can likely provide you with a few of those balances though. While I look for that information, I did send an email to the committee members last night. I forwarded an email from the lottery that discusses their vacant positions.
Okay.
Okay, for the balances, we have a few funds ready to go. The Veterans Benefit Lottery Game Fund in fiscal year 2021 had an ending balance of $1.2 million. In fiscal year 2022 of $1.4 million. In fiscal year 2023 of $1.8 million. In fiscal year 2024 of $938,000. And in fiscal year 25 of $433,000. And one of those, the veterans is one of my agencies that I analyze, and I can tell you that they are working to spend down the funds and not keep them, not hold them over.
Good idea. I think the veterans would appreciate that.
The Economic Development Initiatives Fund in fiscal year 2025 had an ending balance of $7.3 million. And the Expanded Lottery Act Revenues Fund had an ending balance of $0 in 2021, 2022, and 2023. In 2024, the ending balance was $150,000. And in fiscal year 2025, the ending balance was $156,000. My understanding, I've spoken with the Division of Budget analyst about that because that is a statutory transfer. The ending balances the past 2 years were likely due to an issue with the accounts and reports. So that should be an ending balance of $0. My understanding is that the Division of Budget is working with the accounts and reports to make sure that it is a $0 balance going forward.
That's an Economic Development Initiatives Fund?
That is the Expanded Lottery Act Revenues Fund. And again, other analysts are still compiling the ending balances for the funds that they are in charge of reviewing.
Madam Chair, I got a question.
Yes, Representative Turk.
Thank you, Madam. Molly, will you tell the committee the contents of the email sent to me regarding the vacancies?
Madam Chair. Yesterday, the Kansas Lottery sent an email stating that the long-term vacancies for the lottery are the PIO position, one auditor position, and the Assistant Attorney General position.
PIO.
I am not sure what that
Public
means off of the
Information
top of my head. What is it? Public Information Officer?
So what's their total FTE count right now?
The total FTE count is 91 positions. So with those 3 positions that have been long-term vacancies, it seems to be about 88. However, the lottery did state that they are still trying to fill those positions.
Okay, I have a
Madam Chair.
problem.
Madam
I
Chair,
g- Yes,
interrupt for just 1 second.
absolutely.
I want to let this one,
Representative Turk.
I don't want to let this one go quite yet. Just to clarify, to fill in the information we didn't get right there. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 open positions, and long-term is an arbitrary term. Long-term positions that they mentioned there were over a year minimum. The internal auditor's been open for 3 years and 5 months. Information systems administrator, 1 year, 3 months, 1 year, 4 months for the next 10 months, 10 months, 6 months, 4 years, 3 months is the shortest one. That's the program consultant. 1 year, 4 months, and 2 year, 4 months stays vacant. I hate it when I have to use another department as an example because I don't mean it to be, and I don't want it to be personal. It's not. But this is across the board in every agency.
Department.
This is what I'm talking about. If you've got something open for 10 months or more and you can't figure it out, can't get somebody hired,
Delete it.
and you're not going to get pay raises in government agencies all the time. And yes, we're fighting the same battle that every hiring entity in the United States is fighting, is there's not enough bodies. We have to adjust, right? We have to shift fire, if you will. So if we can't fill 2 vacancies that don't pay enough, we're going to have to reorient the office. We're going to have to change obligations, merge positions, change the definitions of the jobs, and work on progress we can work on. So if we can't find somebody to be a deputy director, or we can't find somebody to be an internal auditor, we need to shift. We can't just stay in the box. So if we're asking for new positions and we have positions that aren't being filled for years on end, instead of adding FTEs, which I don't know how many times in the 4 years we have said is not our priority. That's not how we're triaging this problem. If you've got a problem, you don't just add another position. If you got a problem, you work with what you got. We are stewards of the taxpayer. We're in I don't know how many times we've said, we're in a cut year, and some of the easy stuff we're not even doing. So I'm hoping other agencies are listening. I doubt it, but I hope they are. And they can curb this problem before they come up and present and we have to work the budget. But I urge the committee that if we have situations like this and they're asking for more FTEs, that we put this into our decision matrix, whatever that may be for each one of you, and you consider it before we add FTEs. We set the precedent now, and later we don't have to keep rehashing this issue. Thank you.
Well, I'll give you a little bit more food to chew on here. I had asked the state of Kansas for a work location report for the entire state. And it says, as of December of 2025, Kansas Lottery had a total of 80 employees, not 94. How many openings did they say they had? You said they had?
10.
10. So there's 4 missing employees in that. Maybe those are the short term, but there are only 80 employed. Total active positions, 80. So would you like to make a motion regarding that?
As it sits right now, staff, is that adjustment, was that removed from the, would we have to add that back in to allow the FTEs to be added? Or is that removed in that global motion? As it sits right now, I don't think we have to do anything unless we add it. Am I correct?
Yes, Molly would.
Madam Chair, the agency is not requesting any new positions. So this is still part of the base budget. And I do want to apologize. I failed to scroll down in the email. Representative Turk is referencing the vacant positions that an officer within the lottery provided to another person in the lottery, and that is also attached to the email that I forwarded the committee yesterday. So for more detail on those vacant positions, you just need to scroll all the way down.
Representative Turk, how many of those vacant positions have been open for more than a year?
6.
So they're still getting the money basically for these positions, but they're not filled. So they're using it for something else. So I think it would be reasonable to reduce their FTE count by 5. Up to you, Representative. You're the one who brought it up, but it seems to me with this having 14 people less on this page and you finding 10, that's.
You know, you're right. Given that there are other agencies with higher needs and other FTEs, and understanding how the FTE problem works in this building, having positions empty for 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, these are positions that could be shifted to other agencies. I mean, and then it just brings it back that next time an agency with this many vacancies comes up before us, or one that has no vacancies and has a new innovative idea, it gives us on this committee wiggle room to negotiate that in appropriations.
Now,
Keeping that all in context, I would say, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I make the motion to remove. Well, here's a staff question. I'm sorry to interrupt because I know you're already hashing through the problems I've already given you. These are unfunded positions, meaning they're not expending anything for the FTE. We're just saying that moving forward, they don't have these positions to fill, correct? We're just taking the FTE, not the money.
it's a fee fund, so we can't take the money.
We don't authorize them to use money. Right. Correct?
Is that, yes, Dylan?
Madam Chair, that's correct. So you would simply be deleting the FTE positions. Okay, then I've not heard a motion to remove dollars associated with it at this point. I would also note that there is not technically an FTE limitation written into the appropriations bill. So, I mean, it would just force them to acknowledge if they added these positions back next year. So when you come back, and if they had added those positions back and had tried to rehire them, the agency would need to justify to this committee that decision making.
I'm okay
Right.
with that. Now put it into English words for me, Dylan.
Yes, sir. I apologize. So there is no language in the bill that prohibits them from hiring an FTE position. There is a spending limit in the bill that says this is how much money you get to spend. So with the permission of the Department of Administration, they could recreate the FTE positions. But in the event they were to do that, it would show up as a change from the approved when they come into this room next year. And they would have to say, we added 2 additional FTE positions above the approved. And you would have the chance to make
Question
adjustments
it.
at that point.
See, that would be us doing future committee members a favor.
Yes.
Right, all right, so, all right, so my motion would be then to remove those 5 positions that have been open for a year or more. So that would be, just for the record, internal auditor, systems information administrator, program administrator. Actually, none of that matters, does it? So I just want 4 positions or 5 positions removed so that next year when they come back, they have to justify if they add any.
Representative Amix.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just clarification on the maker of the motion. So if I understand what the
Intent,
staff was just saying, well, excuse me, that motion, there would have no dollar effect on this budget.
that's correct.
It's just, they've had these positions long enough, they haven't filled them. And they can get them back.
Have to say, they just have to get the approval to hire them back. They
Yeah.
come back and say, oh, we found
Not necessarily, no.
these people.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. They can hire whoever they want. They could add 20 people, but they come back to us next year and be like, we hired 20 people, and they'll have to justify it. Then we get to approve it.
Madam Chair, then we have to go through the process of the dollars that are necessary to fund them from next year on.
That is how I understand that.
Just want to make sure everybody understands there's a process. If these jobs are really needed, this agency is going to go out and they're going to fill those positions. And then what's going to happen is that we're going to have to come up with the money a year from now to make the decision of whether or not we believe that they're necessary.
On on an SGF agency, yes. But this is a fee fund.
Got it.
So we're
Understand.
just telling them that we don't want, we're going to say, you're going to have to tell us why you hired 5 more people.
They have to
Basically.
they have to justify the expenditure.
But Madam Chair, excuse me if I could, as far as my colleague over here, his motion is sending a message to every agency that we deal with, SGF or not. So anyway, I
Right.
just want to make that point.
But I'm finding with this, and I'm going to get this to all of you, finding that the numbers that are actually active jobs are not reflected in their budget requests.
Ma'am, and thank you. I don't, it's not that I have a problem with this. I just want everybody to be on the same page as to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Can I?
So I'm waiting on a second with
There's
that.
a motion on the table, and we've got a second a motion from Representative Turk and a second from Representative Van Houden. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion, I should say? If not,
And just to be clear, this is for 26 and 27.
26 and 27. We were missing someone. Where did he go?
I think we're,
Can someone just go tell him we need him come in for a vote?
we have enough.
Hmm. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm not positive, but I think we might need a revisor in the room potentially. So I'm making sure Jesse is at least at the door.
Yes.
Sorry, we're voting.
All right. Can you read back the motion for Representative Turks? Jacob, can you do that?
I can,
Did you write it down too?
I believe so. The motion was to delete 5 positions in fiscal year 2026 and fiscal year 2027. But specifically, the positions that have been vacant for more than 1 year.
You know, and that doesn't even matter because they can maneuver that within their entity anyway. So it's just 5 FTEs that they're.
It's really just the reasoning, not.
Yeah.
And there was a second by Representative Van Houten. And I needed you to come in and vote, and then you can dash out wherever you need to go. Is there any other comment or question? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Now we need a motion to accept this budget with amendment.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Um,
Representative Pickard.
Okay, I move that we accept the budget for the Kansas Lottery as presented with the amendment,
Just say with amendments.
period.
There's a second by Representative Melton. Is there any question or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, now we'll move on to Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission. Is there any comment or question at this point? Representative Amix.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed that difference in the recommendations from the committee, between the committee and the governor, and it comes down to the $100,000 for security-related things. The security items for law enforcement that were in that, I don't know much about horse racing, but because I don't go, but that security, how necessary was it in the report? I just can't.
That was for the Historical Racing Parimutuel
Right.
facility.
Yeah.
Molly?
Madam Chair, I can provide a little bit more detail if the committee would like.
Okay.
My understanding is that I have not been to the facility in Park City. My understanding is that it is very similar to a normal casino. And so law enforcement has to be at the facility. When I was discussing the request with the agency, it was noted that the law enforcement officers at the facility need to have radios to communicate with local law enforcement. I don't believe the law enforcement for KRGC necessarily has the ability to press charges or anything. So if someone were to go to the racing facility, the KRGC law enforcement can kind of hold them, but they need to communicate with the local law enforcement to actually get them off of the premises. Additional, I think there was other products for within that $100,000 include fingerprinting equipment, I believe for the staff or all of the staff of the facility, new radios, like I said, and expanding the licensing database for the people at the historical horse racing facility, and a minimal amount of furniture and computers for the staff who are now located at that facility. And my understanding is that the agency has already expended the funds on all those items because the facility opened in December.
December 25, correct? Okay. Representative Turk.
So if they've already used the funds, why are they coming back and asking for more? If they had it in existing funds, I'm starting to see kind of why the governor removed it. So If they had it in existing funds, why are they coming back? They just want a reimbursement so they can maintain their overall budget? What's the point?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So in conversations with the agency, the agency requested this item as an enhancement request last session. It was removed, I think, by the House Appropriations Committee. And for transparency purposes, the agency included it as a supplemental request again, just to let the legislature know the agency felt that they needed to make the purchases for the law enforcement officers.
Yes, Representative Turk. Edgar.
Thank you, but they already did make the purchases for law enforcement.
Madam Chair, my understanding is that at the time the request was submitted, they hadn't, but they were still planning to expend the funds in fiscal year 2026 by the time the facility opened in this past December.
Okay, so to be clear, these officers physically have radios in their hands right now.
Madam Chair, I would have to defer to the agency, but they are not in the room today, and I have not heard from them.
Yeah.
Well, Madam Chair.
Representative Amix.
If I understand right, based on colleague's question, it's a reimbursement, isn't it? That it?
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna get the new thing that I received. They say they have 119.5 employees on their 2026 analysis, which is the same for 2027, but on the sheet that I had, there were 99 active employees. So what we need is that list every year to see what they actually have filled.
Question.
Yes, Representative Amix.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You obviously have a list different than.
I'm getting it for you. Edgar's making
okay,
copies so you can see it. It just gives you another level of, they're saying, this is what they say they have in terms of what they want, I think, in the budget reports. But what I received was what they actually have. I asked for the number of employees for each agency, whether they were full on-site all the time, remote, hybrid. And I didn't anticipate finding that out.
And if I could,
Yes,
thank you.
Representative.
Your list came from our staff?
No, it came from the Department of Administration. And it was done in December of 25.
Okay, thank you.
So Edgar's making copies of those. That's the other problem I have. This is the same thing. This is what they have. So how many have they had open? How many have they had vacant? How long have they had them vacant?
Madam Chair.
Representative Turk.
Thank you. I guess this just highlights yet another one of the several ways that these agencies are, I don't know that it's intent. It's just we're not getting the information that will give us appropriate context to make these decisions. And it's agency, every agency. Like, I don't understand why. We can't help you if we don't get all of the information in a timely manner.
Yes.
We've been doing this for several years. Many of us on this committee have been together for several years now, and it seems like the same issues keep coming back up, and nobody seems to be learning about how this process works. It is their responsibility to bring to us the appropriate information to make a coherent decision. And it's like they are intentionally, it feels that way sometimes, not bringing all the data. This $100,000, I mean, this wasn't mentioned in our initial summary brief. The governor saw it, Department of Administration. They saw it, and is this, just to be clear, so that we can move forward on this $100,000, as it sits right now, it is not in the budget. It was removed in the global motion because it was a request. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, yes, that is correct. It is not included in the budget bill.
So this committee does not need to take action to remove the $100,000. It is already gone. We don't have to do anything.
Yes.
Thank you. So, well,
Right.
it'll be nice to concur with the governor on something. There we go.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't think I have a copy in front of me right now, but the SBC removed the $100,000. The governor recommended the $100,000, just to clarify.
And I take that back.
All right, Representative Prickert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a point of consideration for the FTEs, this historical horse racing facility is just open, so they may not have all of their positions filled. So that's one reason why it may not be.
They only, I think what they were asking for was one more. No, they took one off. So, but obviously they've got. Well, I just had Edgar go make copies for you. But they removed one employee in their 2026 analysis. They went from 120.5 employees to 119. Then I don't know how this, with all other adjustments, how it doesn't go down to 118 on 2027. I don't get that. But Edgar should be right up so y'all can
Okay.
see it. I get a feel for why I suddenly am like, I don't think you have as many. Let's see how often. And I think Representative Turk has been really good about asking how many you have, how many you are allowed, how many are filled, how long have they been unfilled? And that's kind of eye-opening. So if we'll just take a brief recess while we're waiting for Edgar to come back up, and then we'll come back. So if you need to use the ladies' room, Committee is back in motion. We've got this party started. Gaming and racing is on the second page. It's number 533, and it's Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission. That's where I got the 99. And they have 119 on this budget request. So I think that's another 10. Seems to be a consistent theme here.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Representative Turk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So do we have all right, so the Vice Chair mentioned that this particular agency is relatively new. And I don't think this committee is without a little grace. What is the amount of time that these positions have been advertised? I think that's the variable that we should consider.
Okay.
That kind of differentiates just openings versus
All right.
openings for no particular reason or with no guidance.
Would the fiscal analyst come up and see if she can illuminate this for the committee?
Hi, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I missed the question. I just received an email from the agency.
Okay. They must be watching online. What a surprise.
The agency states that they experience a high turnover with law enforcement officers. They currently have 6 law enforcement officers vacant that are in some stage of hiring. Several have start dates and several interviews. We also have a vacant attorney and auditor and accounting position. I believe the fiscal director is on her way to Wichita, so there isn't a lot of detail in that, but
Okay, so give me those numbers again. 6 officers are,
vacant that are in some stage of hiring. The agency has several have start dates and several interviews. The agency also has a vacant attorney position, auditor position, and accounting position.
that's 9, is that correct? All right.
So I didn't really get the question, Molly, was how long have those
Been vacant?
been? How long have they been vacant? Is it Kansas Racing and Gaming is how old total? This particular, is this just for pari-mutuel or is this the whole?
Madam Chair, the pari-mutuel facility is the one that opened in December. The agency and the agency started advertising for positions about a month before it opened in December.
So, all right, so.
Grace.
For the committee, yeah. This one is within that window. It's not like they've got openings for 4 years, so. Consider that before making any decisions.
The director, Randy White, is listening online. She will be aware that next year we'll be asking more. All right. Then I would look, is there any other question, comment? Representative Van Houten.
Chair, if I may, it just would seem this information would be helpful up front. How long these openings have been open, and then maybe even how important are these triaged? Really important we're going to fill this spot? Is it really, really important, or is it really, really, really important? Are there some way we can be able to evaluate maybe where the breakdown is in hiring? Maybe it's salary, or is it, or maybe it's are those people who are hiring engaged in the process?
Okay. Yes. So that's something we should make sure we tell the agencies. We would like to know their vacancies, how long they've been vacant. Have they considered salary? Have they considered merging some positions that would make it better? Would that be a correct way to?
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly. And I think, just to try to have clarity, if they're not able to hire, is there a reason? Like, and specifically what that reason is, so that we can make adjustments in the future.
Okay,
It's to help them.
yes.
If they're asking for it, then for us to help them, help us help you,
Yes.
then, thank you.
Okay, all right. Hello? So would this be an appropriate time to make such a motion? I would move that each agency in the Kansas government system provide a report at the end of December to all committees as to their vacant positions. You used better wording, Dylan, I know you did. Their vacancies, the length of vacancies, the positions that are vacant. Right? Go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, I understand that you want an aging report.
Aging
delivered
report.
As of the end of December, prior to the beginning of session for all state agencies. Is my understanding?
Yes.
All right.
Is there a
I'll
second?
it.
Motion made by the chair and a second by the vice chair. Is there any question or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to the budget for Kansas Racing and Gaming. I'm sorry. Would the fiscal analyst, if you do have something to say?
Madam Chair, I thought you were moving away from racing and gaming, and I just wanted to remind the committee that a motion hadn't been made on the actual budget, but
Oh,
we're on the same, we're on the
I was
same
right
page.
back on it. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you keeping me in line. I need that. Okay. Representative Pickert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we accept the budget for the Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission as proposed.
Is there a woo?
Um,
I'm sorry. By whom? Yes.
Okay, by the SBC's recommendation.
All right, and then there's a second. Representative Van Houten. Is there any question or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the Board of Tax Appeals. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Revisor or analyst, please introduce yourself. Welcome to committee.
Morning, Madam Chair. My name is Jacob Klespe, and I am the fiscal analyst assigned to the Board of Tax Appeals. Continuing from the LBC, the amendments made to the Board of Tax Appeals budget is in fiscal year 2026 a removal of $6,000 of SGF reappropriation. And then in fiscal year 2027, the LBC removed 2 enhancement packages totaling $241,000 and 3 FTE positions. The governor's budget allowed the $6,000 of reappropriation to be reinstated, but concurred with the LBC on the removal of the enhancement packages and 3 additional FTE positions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just,
Representative Turk.
thank you, Madam Chair. So let me just to rehash from conversations yesterday, because I've slept since then. In their enhancement package, they actually had a modification, correct? They were actually only asking for one or two of those three positions that I'm seeing on the enhancements in 27. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, yes, that is correct.
And then the governor chose not to provide either one of those enhancements and then to just give them their 6,000 in reappropriations, correct?
That is correct.
Representative Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not making any kind of motion at this point, but just a reminder of the discussion that I had yesterday, I think it was when we worked this committee, that this agency is doing this, and they are not really able to control their caseload because their caseload keeps getting increased because of the county appraisers doing something to property owners that is irritating them enough that not only do they appeal it at the county level and going through the hassle of that, but then they have the right to come to Topeka and appeal it again. And so what we are seeing under all of this, and you know, if you were having a problem with your appraisal and wanting to question your appraisal, you're going to have to take off from your work as a rancher or a farmer or whatever you're doing for a day, maybe 2 days, to come to Topeka to appeal your case. So they have to be really, really strong in their feelings to come up and get appealed through BODA. And so the fact that their caseload keeps increasing must mean that there's some pain out there of people appealing their property taxes. So just want to pass this on, that I really feel that what they're doing is, I respect the amount of work that they're doing, and they are just trying to keep on top of this so that when the taxpayers have an appeal, it is done in a timely way. So I'm not making any recommendation. I'm just bringing that out to the committee. If you're going to cut these people, you better start down at the ground level with the county appraisers, whatever, because that's where this is all coming from. So thank you.
Representative Turk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be clear, they don't have any enhancement requests for 26, correct?
Madam Chair, that is correct.
Correct.
Great. So I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion. We move this budget out with the following enhancements, that we provide to them the two positions that they've requested for 2027 and their reappropriation, but we are not including in it their market rate adjustment request. And for just some clarity, I appreciate their efforts. How they did it is insufficient to receive that. So there are two positions that they requested granted
Requested three.
and the reappropriations. So for 26 and 27. Okay, they have three here, but yesterday they only wanted two.
Okay.
So are we on the same page with that motion? All right, just need a second.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
For clarification, can I ask Representative Turk a question?
Yes.
Representative Turks, to clarify, so you are, the two positions you are referring to granting in the enhancement are the legal assistant and administrative assistant. The one you are removing is the taxpayer advocate, is that correct?
That's correct, because if I understand correctly, the Department of Administration will be providing that for them, right?
Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so keep that in mind when we bring up the Department of Revenue next. So with that being said, do I have any more clarification for that motion for 26 and 27?
No, I think that. That's fine. Did Okay, seconded by Representative Pickert. Is there any other question or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. Oh, yeah. Yes, please. This is revenue, and I think labor is next, isn't it? Okay. You gave us for revenue, which is farther down, labor is next. That would be lovely. Thank you. Okay. Now that everyone has this. Is it? All right. Now we're moving on to labor. And there is also a discrepancy on the work location list of 403 active positions. And this says they have 393.
Madam Chair, the SR14 data, which is presented in front of you, so this is a point-in-time snapshot data. This occurs at a point in time when this information was submitted to the Division of Budget. It was accurate as of that position, but there have been changes in about 4 FTEs since then.
Or less?
Yeah, this displays so the chart in front of you from the SR14 has a lower number than what is presented in the budget summary. So this is a lower number.
Okay. All right. Are there any, do we have any discussions? Representative Amix.
Question, Madam Chair, so is there more than the 393 that are currently employed in labor?
Yes, that is correct.
There's 4 more, is that what you were saying?
Approximately, yes. Would you like me to repeat the full explanation?
Yes, I don't think he could hear
Okay.
very well.
So the information that was passed out in front of you, this is an SR14 report from the Division of Budget. It presents a point-in-time report. So this just reflects the information of the Department of Labor at that time, but since then there have been adjustments of 4 FTE positions.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. All right. where is, let's see. I will note that the LBC removed $663,252 from their state general fund money. 330,480 was from data storage through IT, and then labor market information of approximately 67,000. And then the Wizard of Jobs has been removed to 65,904 by the LBC. Yes, Representative Turk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I hear from Edgar, the governor's recommended adjustments?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
the governor recommends, the governor is concurrence with the SBC's recommendation of removing the fiscal year 2027 IT enhancement as well as the Wizard of Jobs.
so but the governor did not concur with the labor market information, is that correct? Yeah. What would be the will of the committee at this point? Representative Turk.
Madam Chair, I move that we pass out the Kansas Department of Labor's budget for 26 and 27 in concurrence with the SBC and the governor, since they are aligned.
And there's a motion on the table from Representative Turk and a second by Representative Van Houten. Is there any other discussion? If not, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Move on to the Department of Revenue, and we'll hear from the fiscal analyst.
Morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am Jacob Klesby, the fiscal analyst assigned to the Department of Revenue. From the Legislative Budget Committee, the changes presented removed the agency's requested enhancement packages in fiscal year 2026. These requests totaled $7.4 million and are broken into $4 million for license plate production and postage, license plate $2.5 million for license plate and ID cards, and $920,000 for a legislative pay increase to avoid shortfall. The agency also featured $17,000 of SGF reappropriation, and the final change made by the LBC in fiscal year 2026 was 10 FTE positions. As part of the governor's recommendation, she concurred with the enhancements related to digital license plates and postage and driver's license and ID cards, but she did not concur with the legislative pay increase shortfall of $920,000. She did also occur with the SGF reappropriation and then the 10.6 FTE positions in fiscal year 2026. In addition to the changes recommended by the LBC, the governor arranged internal reallocations of funding and directed them towards operating budget adjustments, which equals a net total change and increase of $103,000 in fiscal year 2026. In fiscal year 2027, the LBC also removed enhancement requests of $4 million for license plates and postage, and $1.7 million for license plates and ID cards, as well as a restoration of the 1.5% lapse in SGF funding of $266,000 and 11 FTE positions. In fiscal year 2027, the governor granted the enhancement requests for the license plates and postage, as well as the license plates and ID cards. as well as the FTE positions, but she did not concur with the operating adjustment restoring the 1.5% SGF lapse. And those are the changes from the Kansas Department of Revenue.
All right, is there any discussion on this? Representative Riley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Going back to the $4 million in 2026 and 2.5 of the driver's license and ID cards. So I think when we had, or when you had that discussion, there was money that was taken out of those fees and transferred to highway funds or something like that. Could you bring that back out again, that discussion?
Madam Chair, yes. The cost of the production, distribution, labor, and postage of license plates comes from the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund within the Department of Revenue. However, the cost paid by the individual requesting a new license plate is transferred to the State Highway Fund, which is outside of the Department of Revenue. The Division of Vehicles Operating Fund receives a set amount transferred in quarterly installments throughout the year. The net total and amount to be transferred each quarter is written into the bill. And while there have been increased production costs and demand for license plates, the Department of Revenue has not received an increased amount of quarterly transfer or amount to be transferred each year from the State Highway Fund to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund.
Madam Chair.
Representative Riley?
So to that point, do we part of a motion, or do we need to have some kind of a separate bill since this is in statute to reverse that so that their money gets put into SGF directly so that we can, they have full access to those fees? What would be the right thing to do?
Madam Chair, the money, it would be funds that could be accessed within the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund, not SGF funds.
So I guess, are you saying that sometimes we have I'm trying to think of the word, it's not coming to me right now, sorry, Shirley. But where we would just say with this recommendation, we would have a temporary thing that would hold that money off, or separately we would do a bill? That's what I'm
I
asking.
think the reviser has an answer to that.
All right, thanks.
It would be better for her to say it than me.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Representative. So the issue is that the committee, in order to not, provide these extra funds or this SGF, the committee could choose to increase the state highway fund transfer that goes back to revenue. So then that money comes that way. Or you could allow revenue to impose higher fees or additional fees in order for that money to then flow to state highway fund as required and then come back. So all of those items that are required to go to state highway fund, most of them are the entirety of the amount. And then that amount is what comes back to the department through the state highway fund. So that's how you kind of come up with those two pathways.
I understand both options, but it seems like that we can add a line item or a verbal line item making a recommendation from what we would like to the appropriations about that, that those funds would be directed back one way or another. Either one is going to end up the same way. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to have a discussion on that.
Representative Turk, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there's got to be a way that this Department of Revenue can get paid first before we disperse into other funds. How do we word that, Lord of Words?
Wizard of words.
Yeah, so what you're asking for is for those fees all to go to the operating fund first. So that would be notwithstanding all the statutes that require that. Okay, yeah, so Chris helped me compile kind of a list of the statutes. And so that would, let's see, yeah, so that would include 8132, 143G, 143L, 145, 8101, 241, 267, 255, 267, 2152, 1333, 1911, 1919, 2418, 3118, just as kind of a start. So you could, so if we could definitely do it for the fiscal year you desire to not withstand all those statutes and all the money goes towards the operating fund. And then a long-term solution would be to look at all those statutes.
For the committee, I'm sorry, for the committee.
Go ahead.
Does it not make sense that the Department of Revenue gets compensated for their work first before we dispense funds elsewhere? Does that not
Yes.
make sense? Right, so I'm just making sure I'm not reading this incorrect.
And what I have written down was that we need to, a statute change to go from the dollar amount, because don't most of those have a dollar amount in them? The entire fund, okay.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Okay, so whatever else I was gonna say doesn't make. Yeah, so Representative Pickert.
Thank you. So then from the State Highway Fund, is there a certain dollar amount that goes back to this? I mean, or is it a percentage that went to them initially, or how does that work?
I might need to call on Chris to see if there's any statutory requirement, but currently in the bill as introduced on the first day of session in section 55, there's a $15 million transfer. And so that's set by the budget bill. So the number you're looking at that comes back to the Department of Revenue is that 15 million.
So it just goes and comes back. Same amount. Okay, so it's, okay.
It's not necessarily one-to-one. I don't know the formula for that.
Perhaps Chris could come up and explain what, because you're making a lot of head motions, so I understand what you're saying too. Welcome to committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Wagner from the Reviser of Statutes Office. I staff House Transportation Committee and also House Appropriations. So the way it's set out in all those statutes that Jesse listed for, registration fees, license plate fees, driver's license exam, so there's usually for those transactions or those fees, those are credited to the State Highway Fund. And then through the budget bill, that state highway, and I am not certain, we can get that answer if it's a one-to-one transfer through the budget bill, but there are those 4 quarterly payments of 15 million that are then transferred from the State Highway Fund to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund. So yeah, I think Jesse was correct that we could just stop those transfers and have it stay or have them directed to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund. But as I stated, I'm not sure if it's a one-to-one, if that equals necessarily
They actually had to spend.
or the fees that they
So-
credited to the State Highway Fund.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I'm hearing you say it would be better just to eliminate the transfer.
That's a policy choice for the committee.
I know, I
But
understand.
it is an option
Cleaner.
that you would then have to also, not have that transfer occur in the budget bill from the State Highway Fund to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund, but we could either through proviso or some sort of bill, stop those transfers from the State Highway Fund and just direct them instead to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund.
Okay. Is anyone really keeping track of these minutes so that I can come back after all these numbers? Representative Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a secondary point on, and I appreciate the discussion. I think we're getting some clarification on that point. Madam Chair, the document that was handed out to us this morning was this document that's got the agencies and the total amount of active positions. And that, again, that was a different snapshot of the amount of positions and where they were in the field or whether they were on site kind of thing. But I would like you to point out about halfway down on that sheet, agency number 565, Department of Revenue. That number is showing at that point 1,134 employees. In the document that we received, I think that number, see if I can find that right off, was 1,049.78. So I am going to start a motion here based on the numbers that I have from this submitted personnel data sheet. So it could be wrong as far as what it is. But I would like to make a motion, Madam Chair, that for fiscal year 2026, that we agree with the State Budget Committee on their recommendations for 2026, which included reversing 10.6 FTEs. And that information, Madam Chair, was on the document that we were given
Yes. Are you,
for everybody to follow through.
how about any of the other, the 2.4 million? Or there's-
Well, that,
you not add
on,
that
for
to the-
2026, that is, there was a reversing of the $4 million, which is part of the discussion that we're having of these funds transfers, and $2.5 million of all funds. Again, that has to do with money that in their operating fund that they're either short or whatever. So they're saying they don't have enough money. Well, we're going to try to sort that out. So I'm making a motion that we agree with the SBC. And then part of that is I'm going to let the revisers make that terminology, but stop that transfer to the Department of.
The SBC did recommend that. Minus 10.6 employees,
Yes.
2026. So you just want to,
Just talking about 2026. Yes.
so you want to agree with everything that SBC did?
Yes. Plus, I think we put in that document, allow the revisers come up with that money. I mean, come up with the terminology of not using that transfer to the highway fund.
Oh, okay. So you're adding the highway fund to it.
Yes.
The
Whatever that terminology wording is, yes.
saying that
they-
we
I'm-
want to
I'm giving
stop
the
the
revisers
transfer
ability-
of the general driver's license money to state highway funds.
Can I get a clarifying question?
Please.
So on the transfers that you're wanting to stop to the state highway fund, is that all the transfers the department makes, or is it just related to licenses, or just related to plates, or any specific type of registration or fee that you would like to stop?
Well, Jesse, again, I'm going to allow you to have that flexibility of that wording. But my understanding is that's money that's being transferred from licenses and driver's licenses and ID cards specifically. I don't know, we've had a discussion of.
The
anything above
plates
and
are
beyond.
also being transferred, correct?
Yeah, yes, but I guess the policy choice is to
What I
choose
would,
which transfers.
which
to
transfers you
stop.
want to stop?
And so what I'm hearing is only driver's licenses and IDs and those associated fees.
That's what my understanding of this discussion that we were just having. So what am I missing?
Because the transfer includes plates, licenses, IDs.
Those are three things, yes.
But plates aren't in your motion.
Yes, plates are in my motion that includes that 4 million. So, yeah,
Okay.
again, license plates, driver's licenses, ID cards. Now, am I missing
Okay.
something on that fee
That's
transfer?
what I was trying to.
Because those are the specific ones that are going to the highway department, right? So again, going through my motion is that we accept the SBC recommendation, but in addition to that, we put language in there saying that we recommend that we stop that transfer for those three things. And again, I'm giving the reviser the ability to adjust that terminology. That is for the remaining for 2026.
Because they do it quarterly. Yeah, wait a second, Representative Turk.
Yeah, for the sake of future discussion, I'll second the motion so that we can then discuss.
Okay. Second by Representative Turk. Representative Amix.
Madam Chair, and just to be clear, this is only for 2026.
Representative Turk.
And
Yes, I should say it out loud so it's on.
And just to be clear, this is actually just a recommendation.
Right.
To this, for discussion and appropriations. Is that the goal? Okay.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, my understanding, again, I'm giving the reviser flexibility to make these terminology, but there might only be 2 quarters of payments left back and forth for adjustments since we're halfway through this fiscal year. So I'm allowing the reviser to make that wording, current transfers, that kind of thing. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Reviser.
Yes,
And who
so
are you again?
I am Jesse from the Reviser of Statutes Office. And Representative Riley, to answer your question about what is left, there's one transfer left for 26, and that's going to occur on April 1st.
All right, so we want to, yes, Representative Turk.
So I don't know that this process will even be done by April 1st. Jesse, is our budgetary, will the budget be enacted by April?
I don't think I think.
Yeah, I don't think that's
gonna.
gonna, she's like, is it on a good day, maybe?
If, I think you might need to amend, say 26 and 27. If possible in
Madam Chair,
26.
I had a similar recommendation for a motion for 27. So right now we're just sorting out 26. So am I hearing from the previous representative that there's a possibility if there's just an April transfer that
That
we
won't be
just
done.
withdraw this part right now and make an amendment to drop that back off again?
I think we'll miss the deadline.
Yes.
Okay, so Madam Chair, so therefore I'm amending it, taking that reviser language back off for 2026.
26. Is there a second to the amendment? Okay,
One last question, if I could.
that, you can have as many questions as you want.
No.
Motion,
And
the amendment
we've-
has been made.
And we've had quite a bit
Representative
of-
Amix.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. We've had quite a bit of discussion about this. And I realize that 2026 will end, come June.
Mhm.
But when we look at these digital license plates, and there's a lot of money between 2 years for digital license plates, are we creating, just a question, are we creating a shortfall for license plates to be made?
Representative Alhabisson.
No, I'm just.
You're just chatting between your colleagues, is all you're doing? Okay, you don't have to say anything.
We sit on transportation and we heard this particular hearing this past week. So he does have a point that there could be a shortfall. So I'm just kind of worried about your motion right now, that this could actually add to the problem. So just to be clear, I want to,
All right, well then.
this could add to the problem. So I don't know if you want for us to kind of like pause some breaks here, so that we can actually sort through, that's, but I don't want us to create as if we're trying to, solve a problem by creating another problem altogether.
Somewhere else.
So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on this.
Yes. Yes. Yes, but is it, and I'm asking for some research on this. Is it a problem that of their own that the statute has created? where it's not, it's having the transfer of money, but it's not always the amount at cost to do that. So if we can get some idea, I would appreciate it. Representative Turk.
Thank you, ma'am. Just to get the whole committee back on the same page. The intent, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to ensure that the Department of Revenue, given the additional burden of the digital plates instead of the stamp plates and everything that goes with it, make sure the Department of Revenue has enough money to operate, and that the mess of the channeling of funds isn't causing the problem. So, though I appreciate your feeling, I don't think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that the Department of Revenue has what it needs so that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul every other year of the budgetary process.
Correct.
Is that correct? That is what we're trying to do, so that we're trying to clean it up, right? And it sounds to me like it's gonna take a statute to fix it inevitably, but for this budgetary, or at least for 2027, we might be able to clean it up a little bit, right? So I don't think we're gonna cause additional problems. I think we just need to understand it before we make a motion. And if the committee feels that this is something that needs to be worked further, we can make a motion to put this particular budget and move it. You know, it'll cause another conversation at the next level, but we can reorient that. You do have that flexibility.
Right.
We can move the Department of Revenue to a different day so that we don't blindly walk into a minefield that causes problems that aren't intended. Okay, this does sound like a very complicated money transfer that we need to understand. We need to have our mind wrapped around before we make any kind of commitments to. And this is the job of this budget subcommittee. And so often in the last few years, we will punt this to appropriations because things like this will be too hard. Well, all we end up doing is compounding the situation. It is my opinion, and the will of the body can do this, do whatever they want, but I would like to move the Department of Revenue to a different day. 24 hours wasn't enough time to digest a budget of this size and a problem of this magnitude. So in order to alleviate your fears and to solve your problem, I would say we move the Department of Revenue.
So we're tabling, Madam Chair, is the suggestion from the
Representative Riley. I know people are listening and they don't know who's talking. So Representative Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So
Mm.
am I hearing that we would just table, do you have a motion over there to table this department until Tuesday?
Madam Chair, the report out date in House Appropriations for the Department of Revenue has been moved to January 29th.
All right, so we have some time.
That is correct.
Okay, so do y'all feel that over the weekend you can try to grasp this? And then we have to ask research if you can get that information to us so we have a better decision-making process. Okay, we've got lots of hands. Hold on just a second. Representative Pickert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I could tell that these two that are on Transportation Committee have some information, but I didn't get it when you guys were I mean, is there something that's pertinent to this situation that you could share with us?
Representative O'Hobson.
No, we had a hearing this past week with respect to digital license plates in transportation, and you know, in terms of how people purchase it and what goes on the county level as well, and how the money pretty much is collected and all of that. So Representative Amix did bring up a point in regards to a shortfall, so which actually was kind of discussed. So and I hear what Representative Riley is trying to do. I'm just saying, my point is, I know we're trying to solve a problem, but we're not for us to solve a problem, actually create a bigger problem. This digital license plate is kind of new, okay, right now. And my understanding is that from what was presented in transportation is that people have to order it, then they send it out to the individuals. And that, collection and all of that. Yeah. So
Well,
that's again my what was presented in transportation.
right. Thank you. Representative Amix.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I agree that, yeah, giving us the weekend to go over this, because there's a whole lot to look at here. And also one other piece that we have, and I appreciate Jacob giving us the report, the recommendation to the committee, but the other piece that we don't have in front of us to be able to make comparison to. I think that there was a difference between the SBC's recommendation for 26, 27, and the governor's recommendation, of which I don't have paper form in front of me. So that may take care, if there's a difference in those numbers, that may be an anticipation of the shortfall that may be created in the governor's recommendation for 27.
All right. Now, with the fiscal analyst, introduce yourself again and tell us what you can do to help get the information to us.
Madam Chair, I'm Jacob Klesby with KLRD. So addressing the committee, yes, we can assemble the comparison between the LBC recommendation and the governor's budget recommendation. I'm also happy to meet with other members just to discuss the transfers within the license plates, showing where the quarterly transfer amounts from the State Highway Fund to the Division of Vehicles Operating Fund, where these enhancements would be originating from within the Department of Revenue, how the funds are distributed for the license plates, the cost, numbers, postage, distribution, and actual totals of the license plates, and then other additional points of comparison information to help frame the issue of where the funds are being transferred to, where the license plates are being paid out of, and what the agency is requesting specifically as into regards to cost of the license plates.
Okay, so you can do that for us.
Yes.
And what is a reasonable length of time for you to be able to do that and get it to us?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, so that would be the motion to move that. I will say also, what did you tell me before? All of a sudden my mind went blank. And you told me this. Just ran right out of my head. Okay, let me think about that for a second. So Representative Turk.
Madam Chair, I was going to make the motion to table this until a time of your choosing.
Okay. Okay, motion by Representative Turk to table revenue to,
Time of your choosing.
do we
Have
have,
the
do
flexibility.
we have time on Thursday? Can you look at that? That way, if you get it on Wednesday, you've got another,
Madam Chair, you have time to make that decision too. You
Yes.
The agenda. So we can leave it open-ended and
Okay.
then you can put
we'll
the,
leave it open-ended. Do we need to rescind the motion and table goes over everything? All right. There's a motion on the floor that tables revenues discussion until sometime next week. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We will get to you when we're going to do this.
And Madam, if I can make one comment,
Yes.
this gives the Department of Revenue plenty of time to reach out to us,
As well.
answer questions that are outstanding, help us understand the scenario from their perspective. They might have potential solutions. So if the Department of Revenue would reach out to the members at their earliest convenience, it would
Great help.
behoove the committee.
I did just remember, there's nothing in statute that actually says you have to print these and mail them. There's nothing. The revisor said it was the license plate. She couldn't find where it specifically says you have to mail them, right? Is that correct? Right, I understand that.
So in statute, as last year, there's a few statutes that require the division to furnish new plates to people. And so that's where there is a requirement up to interpretation.
But that doesn't say they have to actually mail them. Representative Van Houten.
So what we heard in committee was they actually do physically mail them because of the regional offices that they had. It became a storage issue and just problematic, and so they choose to mail them. And with postage, going up, that it was a shortfall.
All right, well, we can talk about this next week, but let's put that on the docket as well, because no, we would like that information as well. All right. Now, the Board Department of Insurance has been very patiently waiting. I apologize. We can move on to the Department of Insurance. Are there any questions or comments in the Department of Insurance? No? Representative Turk.
Well, if nobody wants to discuss the Department of Insurance, I make a motion to move out the 2026 and 2027 budget for the Department of Insurance.
Second.
There's a motion by Representative Turk and a second by Representative Amix. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I appreciate everyone being here. I'm so glad we got to do it early in the morning instead of later. And we will get in touch with you when we've moved our meetings or our recommendation. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.